Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. I had one heck of a migraine this morning brought on by that flu, but I'm getting over the flu. Wasn't able to do the market report. Listen, sorry, guys. I like to do the market report. I like to keep you guys up to date. Anyway, let's move on with the show this afternoon because I've got over the migraine mostly. Anyway, let's get started. Let's chart the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. Gold and silver, they're staying in a range right now. They're not really getting too much of a boost. One of the reasons why is, you guys watch my channel, going way back, I was telling you that they're going to restart quantitative easing. I expected it to be restarted with a big hoopla, a big announcement. We're going to go back to quantitative easing. And I said that that's the turning point for gold and silver and crypto. Remember, that's what I told you months and months, maybe years ago, even a long time ago. I've been saying this, so I've said it so many times in my program about how they're going to go back to quantitative easing. They don't have any choice. Well, they've restarted quantitative easing, but somehow it's not quantitative easing. What in the heck's going on? Anyway, gold and silver don't really seem to be catching that much of a bid, even though they're going back to quantitative easing, and the reason why this is stealth quantitative easing. But the traders will figure it out after a while, and we'll start to see gold and silver start to go up. This is what we're going to see, because there's no way out of this. I think the reason why they're not really announcing it or anything, they're just doing it now, is because it's unlimited. I think this is it. I think it's unlimited. It's open-ended. It's unlimited. They're just going to continue to pump money as much as they need to into the system. Basically, the old saying, they used to have years ago, they said you're going to throw in the towel or raise the white flag. That's what they're doing. They're capitulating. They're showing you which direction they're going to go. I've always said, all along from the very start, that the only way out of this situation is for them to go into the great print. And it's beginning. It's just in its initial phases. We see it in the repo market, what's happening there. Now we see it in this new form of quantitative easing that's going to be open-ended. They can't stop. It's going to lead to hyperinflation in the end. There's no other way around it. And I know I've talked hyperinflation so many times on this program, you guys, you don't really, it kind of like, right now at this point, you've heard hyperinflation, hyperinflation, hyperinflation so many times, you're like a duck in the pond with a little bit of water going over his back. It doesn't stick. You don't realize just how powerful a thing that hyperinflation really is and what it actually does. And how it absolutely destroys the middle class's savings. It's unbelievable how it can destroy your savings if your savings are in dollars. I'll tell you guys a little story I heard from Weimar, Germany. I don't know how true it is. So it's only a story. But I think there is some truth to it anyway. There was a fellow that worked in Weimar, Germany, way back in the 1920s when they had the hyperinflation in Weimar, Germany. And before the hyperinflation, he worked at a hotel as a bellboy. So rich people back then had nice cars. A lot of people didn't have cars back then, but some richer people had cars. And this American had a big touring car or whatever. He come up and he parked it in front of the hotel, and stuff. And he got the bellboy to park his car for him and everything else. And the bellboy worked real hard, taking his bags up to the room and everything. And they kind of got talking and chatting, and everything. And he made friends with the bellboy. So I guess they went downstairs to the bar and they both had a drink together. This rich American, I guess he liked the bellboy for some reason or another. And after he had the drink, he reached down in his pocket and he grabbed a American gold coin. Those big gold coins, like I guess, and he gave it to the bellboy as a tip. Here's your tip. And that was an amazing big tip back then in those days, It's like, what were they worth, $20? That's like a $20 tip. Back in those days, it would be like getting $1,000 tip now, or more, right? So the bellboy, he treasured that coin because it was, and the hyperinflation began. So what happened was now I'm not sure how true this story is, but this is the way I heard it is. What happened was the hyperinflation began, and the hotel where the bellboy worked didn't suffer good through the hyperinflation. And what happened was, I guess it went out of business and it went up for sale. I guess at auction during the hyperinflation. And that one piece of gold, that one gold coin, he was able to buy the hotel because he was the biggest bidder. Because the hotel basically went at auction for whoever could have the most, who would bid the most. And that gold coin then, during the hyperinflation, was worth a fantastic amount of money. Right? And he bought the whole hotel where he used to work for that one gold coin. So, kind of an amazing story. I don't know how true it is, but here's the thing about this is there is a valid point to this story because that's how a hyperinflation works. You'll find that during a hyperinflation that real estate values don't tend to skyrocket so much as gold and silver do amazingly well in a hyperinflation. And other currencies that maintain their value do amazingly well in a hyperinflation. It's your currency at home that becomes practically worthless. So in Weimar, Germany, during the hyperinflation, I saw many pictures of them, the bills all over the street, and them sweeping them up and burning them in the stove, as fuel for a stove. And the same thing could actually happen to the U.S. dollar. I was listening this morning to a show that Peter Schiff was doing. It's a brand new show he produced, And I'm going to tell you what. Listening to what he had to say, and I was saying to myself, he knows when he's right. And he was talking about how the United States could perhaps actually go into a hyperinflation, and that the dollar is going to, at the very least, have profound inflation. Peter's right, and he knows he's right. It's just that all of these guys out there that haven't done their homework, and they get out there, all these talking heads and stuff, and they don't know what in the heck they're talking about, and they can't see this coming. Even though it should be as plain as the nose on your face. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling on a little bit. Let's get going here. Let's take a look at this. These are signs that we're heading into this thing, and we're heading into it fast. They're playing the blame game. Britain, EU trade blame as Brexit talks appear on the verge of collapsing. Now I've been, guys watching my show, I've been saying all along we're going to head to a hard Brexit. Everybody else says, oh, no, we're not going to have a hard Brexit, not going to have a hard Brexit. It's the end of this month. Unless something is done, they're going to fall off the cliff and have a hard Brexit. And I've been saying this has been coming for years. You watch as we get really close, like maybe 2 weeks from now or a week and a half from now. Watch them all start to change their opinion. They'll be starting, the markets will start to react to it then. And we're going to have a hard Brexit. Oh, we just come out of nowhere. We didn't see this coming. Well, it's only been brewing now for years, for crying out loud, But here it is, and we're on top of it now. Let's take a look at the Dow right now. They're in la-la land. It's up 181 points today. They're in la-la land. What an overpriced market, But, when the hyperinflation really gets going, one of the things that's supporting this market right now is this stealth quantitative easing. When this really gets going now, the hyperinflation gets going, we could see 30,000 Dow. Yeah, sure, but it's going to be, what's it going to be priced in? Weimar Republic dollars? Anyway, let's take a look now. I just had to put this story in for you guys. Absolutely nuts. This guy right here, squirrels hid 200 walnuts underneath his hood of his car. And you imagine, you know, they packed it right full. Look, right full of walnuts. They packed his car. You know, luckily for him, he can get a vacuum cleaner out and he can clean all that up, you know, pretty quick, you know. Pick out the bigger walnuts and stuff. Heck, you know, crack the walnuts and eat some of them. There's probably nothing wrong with them. Uh, but it is a funny story. Uh, Markets rise on trade hopes. Haven't we heard this song and dance so much? They're hoping that they're going to sign a trade deal or whatever, you know, and get this thing done and closed with the Chinese and the Americans and have a big trade deal and everybody's going to be happy and shake hands. The market's hoping on that. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I see that when it's proved to them that this is not going to happen, then we're going to see the markets fall off, and it's going to be a lot worse as we head toward Brexit. This next month, I think we're going to see the markets turn down, and I think that when you see these markets turn down, they've already started quantitative easing. I think you're going to see the money start to pump up, the volume of money that they're producing, you know, start to pump up, and then that's going to re-lever the markets back up again. It's going to re-buoy the markets, you know. But I think we could see a rather sharp decline in the markets when these problems start to really arise in the financial system. It's almost like some kid that's standing in front of a big dam or something, you know, or a dike, you know, and water springs out over here, and he runs over there and sticks his finger in the hole, and then water springs out over there, and he runs in and puts his finger in the hole. There's only so many places they can put their finger in the hole before they're just going to have a big problem. The whole thing's breaking apart now at this point. It's coming apart at the seams. Fed starts debt purchases. It says, but just don't call it quantitative easing. Well, what in the heck is it if it's not quantitative easing? Of course, they went back to quantitative easing again. It says 10 minutes after Federal Reserve Chair Jay Powell insisted that the central bank restart its treasury purchases, it was in no way the same as the post-financial crisis policy of quantitative easing. It's exactly the same as quantitative easing. What are they trying to pull on us? How stupid do they think we are? Quite honestly, you know? But we saw this coming. I saw this coming on my channel ages ago. And I've been telling you guys they're going to go back to quantitative easing. Well, I'm telling you right now, it's going to get a lot bigger. And it's going to have other things added to it. There's no way around this. They're going to have to do helicopter money, ultimately, to support the system. Otherwise, they're going to have an awful lot of angry people out there with them, and they know it. They'll never get reelected. In fact, worse, things will turn really sour for them unless they start to pacify the people with money. And they're going to do it. They're going to do it. You guys out there, some of you don't approve of that, you know. You say it's socialistic type policies and everything, and you don't approve of it and everything. Well, you might as well take the money and pocket it. Because I'm going to tell you what, when they start giving this free money out, because they're going to do it whether you like it or not. And another thing I'm going to tell you guys, I've heard talk out there that they're going to have, when they really do these big bailouts of the banks and stuff, like 20 trillion or whatever they have to do, you know, to support the banks, that they're going to give it as a vote to the people, and the people are going to say, no, don't do it. They're not going to let you vote on it. They're just going to do it. You're going to wake up one morning and open up the newspapers, and they're giving 20 trillion to the banks the day before, and you didn't even know they did it. Just like they're doing this stealth quantitative easing. They're not going to ask your permission to give the money to the banks and prop up the banks. They're just going to do it. Like they do everything. Did they ask your permission to do the quantitative easing that they're doing right now? They said, no. They're doing it. But they said, no. Just don't call it quantitative easing. So see which way this is going. You can see which way this is going. If you just open your eyes and look at it, you can see which way this is going. This is all heading toward the great print, guys. It's all heading toward the great print. So anyway, cryptocurrency's caught a nice little bid, you know. And they're moving back up again. I saw this coming too. But I wasn't sure how much. I knew it was getting toward the tail end of the little bit of a bear market that it was in. but I wasn't sure how much further it had to go and how much further down it would have to go. I set a floor at $8,000. If you watch my other channel, the Delta Report, you'll know the days when it was still $10,500, I said the floor is $8,000. By God, I nailed it. I nailed it. It did go down to like 79.50 or whatever, 78.50 or something like that. But it was close to 8,000. I was close enough where I can tell you guys I nailed it. I nailed it. And now she's starting to go back up again. 85, 83, you know. So I had that market pretty much right on the nose of what it was going to do. Well in advance, when it was still $10,800, I had it pretty much nailed. Now, you know, I got a little bit enthusiastic the other night, you know, and I said my price target was 32,000 by the end of this year for Bitcoin. As a little bit of enthusiasm, you know. My original price target was 16,000. I really think probably 16,000 is probably more like the price target will probably be by the end of this year. 32,000 is a little bit optimistic, you know. I mean, it might make 32,000, but I'm thinking 16,000, you know, by the end of this year. Anyway, let's take a look now. Well, we've covered all the bases. Listen, thank you guys for listening to my show. I really appreciate my audience out there. You guys have a great evening, and give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.